This is a relay project.
Real Talk is on the road. From the National Music Centre in downtown Calgary, here's Ryan Jesperson.
Well, a little something different for you over the next few days, the next 5 days, in fact, as Real Talk comes to you streaming from downtown Calgary's stunning National Music Centre. I want to thank you for joining us in this episode of the show. We are coming to you from the heart of the action. This is where business happens. This is where big conversations unfold. And of course, this is where you've got to be if you're paying attention to, let alone influencing, news and politics. You know, they call the Calgary Stampede the greatest outdoor show on earth, and we see evidence of that, of course, as hundreds of thousands of people over 10 days or so make their way down to the Stampede grounds to take in the rodeo, the chuck wagons, the grandstand show. Sure, there's the rides and the midway food, but the real story of Calgary Stampede, or at least the area that feels most relevant to a talk show like this, is the conversation that are happening, the mixers, the private parties, the big events where politicians are making appearances, making announcements. And this Calgary Stampede is no different. A big pipeline announcement made just a number of days ago by the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, and it's got everybody talking. In just a moment, we'll talk to Canada's Minister of Natural Resources, the Energy Minister, the Honourable Tim Hodgson, joining us right here in studio at the National Music Centre. We're going to be looking to see what Real Talkers have to say about it in our live chat powered by Park Power. And then, of course, we'll explore the different angles of this story that remain relevant. Will this pipeline actually get built? Will private investors step up? Is there justifiable global oil demand over the next number of years, the number of decades that it would take to justify the expenditure that this pipeline will represent? All of this gets going in 30 seconds. Before we get there, we want to let you know that this episode, this special episode of Real Talk, is happening with the presenting sponsorship and support from our friends at Hanson Distillery. You can always find Hanson online at hansondistillery.com. Real talk, real spirits. Hanson is rooted in prairie grit and a rebellious spirit known for authentic small batch whiskey, vodka, gin, moonshine, and unique liqueurs crafted right here in Alberta with local ingredients. Every bottle of Hanson tells a true story of passion, heritage, and hands-on craftsmanship. You can visit Hanson Distillery in Alberta's capital city. You can ask for Hanson wherever you get your fine Alberta spirits. And, of course, you can always shop Hanson online at hansondistillery.com. As we welcome to the Real Talk studio in our feature interview presented by Mercedes-Benz Edmonton West, Canada's Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, the Honourable Tim Hodgson, all cowboyed up. Thanks for making time for us today.
Good to be here.
Yeah, this is have I accurately characterized your time at the Calgary Stampede, your experience here, the meetings, the events, the conversations that are happening in public and in private about this big project?
Everyone's excited about it, Ryan. I think it sends a message about cooperative federalism works. I hear from everyone I talk to that people are excited. They see a strong Alberta and a united Canada. They see us playing Team Canada. I was actually at an event yesterday where Brian Jean got up and talked about how much he enjoyed working together with the federal government and with me, and people were cheering, and they're seeing that Team Canada approach right now, and they're excited.
That must be a bit of a mind bender. To be candid, that people are cheering, and that the federal Liberal government and a provincial Conservative government are actually working together. A lot of people aren't used to seeing this.
Well, my mother was born in Calgary. Much of my family is here. I worked here on and off for many years, and this is a special place. It's a very entrepreneurial place. It's the most entrepreneurial place in Canada, and this is a can-do place. We were laughing. Somebody asked me if I could have a breakfast yesterday to talk about some deals we were working on, and I said, well, I've got a breakfast at 9, I've got a breakfast at 7, and I've got a breakfast at 9, 8, and 7. And they said, well, could you do a breakfast at 6? And we did. And that's kind of the spirit of Alberta. It's a can-do place. And they're seeing the federal government and the Alberta government work together in a can-do manner, and they're excited about it.
I would imagine some taxpayer trepidation around this. There certainly is, and people are concerned. I think that this could become another Trans Mountain. It would, could cost tens of billions of dollars. You immediately physically react when I say that.
Well, I do, because I think there's a misnomer. Trans Mountain is one of the best investments the Canadian government has made. We could sell it tomorrow at a significant profit. We have been offered by people to buy that pipeline, and we would make a profit on it. So the notion that this is somehow a bad investment is just wrong. The Trans Mountain Pipeline, people said it wouldn't be full. It is full. People said we wouldn't need to expand it. We're expanding it. People said, there's not buyers for it. I can tell you every day I get phone calls from our allies all across Asia who desperately want to buy more of our oil.
So if it's such a great opportunity and such a great investment, why don't you think that private industry is leading it?
So first of all, we're moving very, very quickly, and there's a history here. But there's a lot of regulatory burden that have gone on. There's a lot of regulatory burden in the past that had slowed other pipelines down. We need to clear the way for that. And I think they want to see that we really are supportive of it, and that's where we are. We're right now. We're in a place where we found a solution. We found a solution that the province of British Columbia will be supportive of. We found a solution that First Nations on the coast of British Columbia are supportive of, and it is along an existing route that is owned by Trans Mountain. So it makes complete sense for the company that actually owns the route, for the company that just built the last pipeline, and that has all the experience from an environmental perspective and with Indigenous people. It makes sense for them to be involved in the project.
Has Ottawa fundamentally changed its philosophy on pipelines?
Let me answer that a little bit in a different way. People said to me, "You said when the MOU came out that there wouldn't be any public sector involvement," and I've said to them, "Well, let's look at what's happened since November when we signed the MOU. The United States engineered regime change in another country, is looking to develop their oil to replace oil coming from Alberta. We've had the worst energy crisis in the history of the world. As said by the president of the IEA, our allies are struggling to find energy, and they're asking us for it. And on July 1st, the United States said, we're done with CUSMA. Fundamentally changed, in a way, saying what we've been experiencing, economic war on sectors of our economy, on our steel sector, on our aluminum sector, on our copper sector, on our forest product sector, on our auto sector, we should expect more of that. When you look at those things, is it time for a change? Do we need to be pragmatic and think about how we want to do things? The Prime Minister's been clear. We need to engage in the world the way it is, not the way it used to be, and it's a more dangerous and volatile world.
Yeah, and I would guarantee you that you will find and encounter, and I'm sure this has been your experience, very little opposition to the arguments that you just made, in particular here in Calgary, right? In particular this week. But, you do see, I think lamentations, you're seeing some protest, at least by way of public statements right now from people who are concerned that Canada, this Prime Minister in particular, is abandoning climate commitments, or has fundamentally chosen, in this case, industry over the environment.
Absolutely not. He's been very clear, and I say it we will be a clean and conventional energy superpower. We need to do both. We need to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We are doing as much on the clean side as we are on the conventional energy side. You've seen us make announcements around the North Coast transmission line in BC, where we're investing billions of dollars to help bring more clean power to British Columbia. We're working with Ontario on 14.5 gigawatts of new nuclear power, which is zero emitting power. Right now, I'm working closely with the premiers in Quebec and New Brunswick, premiers of Quebec and Newfoundland, to look at making sure the Churchill Falls and Gull Island project, which could bring almost 12 gigawatts of new hydropower on. We've announced as part of the Alberta MOU, we're going to fund intra-provincial transmission so we can bring more renewables onto the grid here. Alberta's a leader in renewable, but the grid couldn't take more. We're going to help fix that.
Have you had conversation with this provincial government in Alberta about renewables, and in particular, I'll editorialize the question, but a hostility, whether it's perceived or otherwise, with renewables? You know what I'm talking about, though. A moratorium on renewable development. There's now new recycling fees on solar panels that solar entrepreneurs are saying are disproportionate to recycling fees on other technology. Your thoughts on that?
So I'm not familiar with the intimate details of everything.
It's a recent development.
But what I would say what I hear from my counterparts in Alberta is they just want to make sure the grid can handle more renewables. As you know, in some places like Spain, you had whole grids shutting down because they couldn't handle the intermittent load from renewables. But what we've just done is we've provided more support so you can add more transmission and keep it affordable in Alberta. When you add more transmission, you can add more renewables. We're also talking about nuclear here in Alberta with your government. They want to bring baseload nuclear power here to add to the grid, and we're supportive of that.
There will be people, I think, probably across the country that will wonder if the rise, or at least let me just say the volume of Alberta separatist sentiment factored in to the federal government's desire to work with Alberta and ultimately to the pipeline approval. And there will be people in Alberta as well, separatists or separatist curious Albertans who will believe that talking about it and maybe even holding a referendum this October was a way to get Ottawa's attention, was a way to get that pipeline deal done. How accurate is that?
That's not what drives the Prime Minister. It's not what drives me. It's not what drives the county. What drives us is cooperative federalism. What you've seen from Prime Minister Carney since day one. I mean, I remember as I was being asked to potentially run, watching the Prime Minister in his very first Minister's meeting. And Premier Ford came out, who was the head of the provincial, the 13 premiers at the time, came out and said, we just met with a new Prime Minister. He's a businessman. He's a pragmatist. We can work with this guy. And then the Prime Minister came out and talked about 10 things that they just agreed on. And I looked at my wife and I said, wow, we just did more in 3 hours than has been done in 3 years. This is what cooperative federalism looks like. And we're seeing that, whether it's today, Premier Moe is here, Premier Ford is here, Premier Wakeham is here. We've got a Team Canada moment going on where everyone's on the same team. Let's capitalize on it. This is a good thing.
So what's the biggest obstacle today?
The biggest obstacle today is I'm hesitating because we're doing all the right things. We need to stay together. There are people out there who want to divide us. There are other countries out there that want to divide us. We are weaker when we fight amongst ourselves. I've believed, Ryan, Canadians across this country believe, 90% of us believe in what makes Canada good. We all agree on that 9%. Yeah, there's 10% on the fringes where we can have debates about whether this is the right approach or that's the right approach. But the 90% of what it means to be Canadian, we agree on. Let's focus on driving on the 90% we agree on and put the 10% away when the world is as dangerous and divided, where you've got wars going on, where you've got our trade being weaponized against us by hegemons. Now is not the time to focus on the 10% of the things we don't agree on. Now's the time to focus on the 90%. The Prime Minister says, I don't want to hear what you're against. I want to hear what you're for. And let's focus on getting done what we're for.
Thanks for making time for us. I know that the Stampede schedule is a busy one. We wanted to make sure that we had you on day one of our road trip, our episodes down here in Calgary. It's obviously a big announcement. I think that, I'll say it as a statement, which can act as a question, but I don't know. It felt like over the past few days that the enthusiasm in the city right now is palpable, in particular on this file. And I think it's a great encouragement. And I wonder if you feel the same.
I do. I was here when we signed the MOU back in November, and I remember talking with my friends in Calgary, and they said we feel like there's a place in Canada for us again. And today, that feeling of hope is just blossoming, and it's an exciting time to be here.
That's Canada's Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, the Honourable Tim Hodgson, joining us in our feature interview presented by Mercedes-Benz Edmonton West. Enjoy the rest of your Stampede.
Thank you.
You got it. We've got the MP for Calgary Confederation, Corey Hogan, is going to join us in just a moment here, get his take on this as well. Of course, if you're just joining our live stream, presented by California Closets, you can book your free consultation today at californiaclosets.ca. We are coming to you from the beautiful National Music Center right here in downtown Calgary. Andrew Mosker is going to be joining us a little bit later on in the show, the founding president and CEO of the National Music Center. We'll talk to you a little bit more about this very special place. We've got Mark here in our live chat, powered by Park Power. Mark says the latest version of cooperative federalism means provincial and federal governments share the risk, pay for pipelines that should be funded by industry. Super Chat Ken likes the deal. Says he likes the deal. You can keep the comments coming. He says the pipeline's a good deal for Alberta, but make no mistake, it's going to eat a lot of royalty dollars before it returns them. But he says he's thrilled to stick it to separatist numpties. All right, let's find out what Corey Hogan has to say about that in just a second. Before we get to Corey, I want to remind you that Alberta wins every day with Play Alberta. You can always find Play Alberta online at playalberta.ca, or you can download the Play Alberta app. And, from exclusive giveaways to keeping all revenue in the province, Alberta wins with Play Alberta. And what better place to celebrate than right here at the greatest outdoor show on earth? As the exclusive betting partner of the Calgary Stampede, Play Alberta has plenty of fun surprises in store. You can keep an eye out for the activation team for your chance to win when you're down at the grounds. Don't forget, you can always visit playalberta.ca/realtalk to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/realtalk. You got to be 18 or over to play, and if you gamble, please use your game sense. We've also got a note from our friends at Friesen Brothers. Friesen Brothers, of course, proudly presenting BC Fruits. BC Fruits are back on the shelves through the summer season. Friesen Brothers is all about prioritizing Canadian growers, farmers, and local businesses. Now, remember, the season is short. For a lot of these fruits, you got like 6 to 8 weeks, a short window to grab them. If you're in Calgary right now, your closest Friesen Brothers store, for now, Drumheller or Sundre. Don't forget, this summer you can find at Friesen Brothers BC cherries. BC cherries guarantee at Friesen Brothers. That means the only cherries you'll find on their shelves are guaranteed to be from BC. And we've also got BC blueberries that just landed in store, so you can be the first to grab a pint. Keep your eye out for BC peaches, nectarines, and apricots, all dropping soon at Friesen Brothers. And before we get to Corey Hogan, we also wanted to put on your radar the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 955. They proudly represent about 12,000 hardworking Albertans in diverse sectors of the economy, from oil and gas construction and maintenance to crane and heavy equipment operation, renewable energy, healthcare, education, municipalities, and so much more. IUOE 955, they kind of do it all. It is a real union that puts labor and workers' interests first. If you want to learn more, you can join them at their annual free Family Fun Day that's going on in Alberta's capital city in Edmonton, July 18th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At 176th Street, 114th Avenue. Food, games, equipment, simulators. Hunter's going to be there from the Oilers. Punter from the Elks as well. They'll be there at noon. You can check out more at joinustoday.ca. That's joinustoday.ca. What a pleasure it is to welcome to our Calgary studio. I'm really enjoying saying this, Corey. I'm really enjoying saying this. The Member of Parliament for Calgary Confederation, and all cowboyed up as well. So he is. So are all of we.
We're just a couple of cowboys.
It's
here,
what
Ryan.
we do here. Former podcaster Corey Hogan. It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you in this studio.
Yeah.
You got larger microphones here. You're moving up in the world.
Yeah,
That's
we're
great.
getting bigger microphones, a bigger studio. It's going to be hard to leave the National Music Center.
I know. This place is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. We've got your former colleagues coming on to join us tomorrow. Stephen Carter and Zane Velji are going to join us. And I thought, I asked them, I said, what do you think the chances are we can get the band back together, get all three on together?
Get all the stadium hits, eh?
And they told me that they do their best in an effort to preserve your potential political future, to protect your opportunities down the line.
That's probably smart. That's good of them because
that they're going to keep you.
They are poison, those two. Yeah, bad guys.
Yeah. How's your Stampede been? Like generally speaking,
it's been good. I mean, as you know, Stampede in Calgary, it's events to events. I always describe it. It's like a potluck, right? So every organization brings their thing to it, and we all go around and we sample them. And so there's not a spare minute. You're choosing between two events at any given time. But it's been great. It's been fantastic. City's on fire. Yeah,
City's on fire. There's a lot of. I was just saying to your colleague, obviously the Energy Minister, that I think the enthusiasm is palpable, and it often or always is at Stampede. But the pipeline announcement, the data center announcement. And if you listen to anybody else, they're hinting that this is just the tip of the iceberg, that there are more announcements to come this week that I think are going to knock people's socks off. But it makes life a little bit easier for a guy like you, for a Liberal MP in Calgary, to be able to enjoy the momentum from announcements like this into Stampede.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, starting Stampede with the announcement we did, peace in the valley between BC, Alberta, and the federal government, a path to a pipeline, make us less reliant on the U.S., that's amazing stuff. That's good fodder for walking around and talking to people on the streets, for sure. But it's more than just a moment. I think realistically, Albertans are looking at things a bit differently. Canadians are looking at things a bit differently, more broadly, saying, hey, maybe we've got to diversify our trade away from the United States. Maybe we don't want to be fighting all of the time about everything. Maybe we got to be working together. And there's a spring in a lot of people's steps around here.
There is still some cynicism around whether or not, we're talking a lot about the pipeline this morning for obvious reasons. Yeah. There's more to it. There's more stories to cover. But around whether or not it would actually get built, do you have a strong conviction that it will? And if so, why?
I absolutely think it's going to be built, and I think it's going to be built for the obvious reason that we are right now selling 90% of our oil to one customer. And I don't think that's a particularly good idea at the best of times. And we, my friend, are not at the best of times with that particular customer. So I think if you thought nothing else about how we've arranged our country and our economy, you should probably think diversification's in our interests, and this pipeline would be very much in our interest because it allows us to get access to those world markets, and it de-risks what is our largest export. We export more oil than we export anything else in terms of dollars.
Do you think that I'm always curious to pick your brain, and you've been speaking out and using your social media platforms to speak very strongly to argue the case for Canada, and I know that the Alberta separation conversation that we're having it appears to have troubled you.
Is that enough that I ran for office? Yeah,
is that safe to say?
Yeah.
But you've been talking a lot about it. And You've been releasing these videos and that sort of a thing. And I'm seeing, anecdotally, candidly, people state that they think that by talking about separatism, by prompting this referendum, that they've moved the needle on getting the pipeline approved, that it sent a message to Ottawa, woke Ottawa up. And you're physically, you appear to be uncomfortable with me even asserting this.
Well, look, I get it. I understand why they would want to say, hey, the thing we're doing is working, but that's not the case. The thing they're doing is hurting our economy. It's dividing families. This is not why a pipeline is being built. A pipeline is in our interest, and we got Mark Carney, a prime minister, who says, I'm going to try to do the thing that makes sense and is the right thing, and we're not just going to set off against each other because one of us is a liberal and the other is a conservative. And where our interests lie, we've got to be adult enough to say, we'll do it. I'm not so worried about giving you a quote-unquote win. I'm interested in doing what's right for the country.
So do you expect that this, I feel like this is the conversation over the past 4 days that has been recurring more than anything is whether or not the pipeline announcement in particular will act as a death knell or a death blow for the separation movement. In other words, there's proof Canada can work. If there's shovels in the ground, does it kill the separatist momentum?
Well, I honestly think that the best defense that the country has against any separatist movement is working, right? Like, we've got to make this country work, whether you are an Albertan or an Ontarian, whether you're urban, whether you're rural, whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative. And what we have in Mark Carney is a guy who gets that too, right? He's from here, he's an Albertan. And we've just got to diffuse a lot of these things. But that diffusion, it doesn't have to be about one movement. If your goal is making this country work, you're going to solve a lot of problems. You're not just going to solve Alberta separatism. You're going to solve problems with the economy. You're going to solve problems with Quebec separatism. You're going to solve a lot of things. And so I think sometimes politicians get too cute about this. They start thinking about, am I up? Am I down on this issue? What's my meta-analysis? Does that mean that somebody I don't really like hanging out with at cocktail parties is going to get a quote-unquote win? But we got to be adults. We got to move past that. We got to be pragmatists, and we got to get done the things that we need to get done as a country. And we talk a lot about the pipeline, but those same separatists are saying, "Oh, this is proof it works." Next time, why don't you ask them how they feel about the industrial price on carbon being locked in by the provincial government? Next time, why don't you ask them how they feel about methane down 75% or invested in carbon capture and sequestration? This is not a give. This is a smart deal that works for all of us.
What else is, like, when you look at the major projects office, and what are the things, I was sort of like stopped from getting this tunnel vision on and in my mind, having major projects just represent pipelines.
Yeah,
it
I know.
needs to be more than that, right?
And you're here in Alberta, and it can sometimes really feel like that.
And we're in Calgary.
Yeah.
And so here we are, talking about our live shows here and all we, for the first 20 minutes, we've talked about pipelines.
Yeah, I know.
And if people aren't keen on talking about pipelines, they're going to absolutely hate this episode, for now.
For now.
We're going to talk about the National Music Center later. We're going to pivot.
Yeah,
we're going to talk
about great.
But in all seriousness, I mean, this federal government has obviously identified Calgary as and I think even literally in like placing the major projects office in Calgary, it sends a message. And I'm sure that was intentional. When it comes to some of your priorities or what else you'd like to see or what another major project could look like, it would be approved in Calgary. What's something else you're kind of keeping an eye on?
Yeah, so the major projects office isn't about, like, is it a big project? It's about whether that project needs a bunch of federal approvals. So when you think about Calgary, the reality is there's not a lot of projects that would require federal approvals to be expedited or, this combined approval. By the way, a bit of a misconception. Everyone's like, oh, you can run past the approvals. Really what it allows is that you can do these things concurrently. So, like, the Fisheries Act can be applied at the same time as the environmental acts that are there, feeding into one approval document. Doesn't mean we don't do the approvals and the environmental stuff. But things that I want to see for Calgary, I want to see investments in mass transit. I think that would be really important. I want to see investments in our post-secondary institutions, investments in culture. We talk an awful lot about building our economy to strengthen the country. We talk a lot about building the military to strengthen the country. We got to talk about what we're defending too. So that's why I was glad we got to invest $40 million in contemporary Calgary this week as well. We're all talking about the pipeline, but that was a big investment too. And we've got the Olympic Oval. We've got Workland Center, which is the old Arts Commons. It's been rebranded because of the generosity of the Workland family. And we've got any number of projects that could strengthen civil society here in Calgary. And I think that I would like to see some investments in that space as well as housing, of course, to bring the price of housing down.
Can we just sort of cut through that the annoying sort of like there's like embargoed this or private that, and I think that one of the reasons why Real Talk is undisputed as Alberta's #1 talk show.
It's like right in the name. It's Real Talk.
It's right in the
Real
name.
Talk. Yeah.
All this talk about people saying, well, just you wait later this week, more announcements. Can you just let us know it's coming? Just let us know what the announcements are right here on Real Talk so people can hear it before they hear it anywhere else. I'd like to give you that opportunity.
I mean, I would love to, but Tim Hodgson is in the next room. His comms director would probably,
you
have
might
me
not make it out of the
I wouldn't
building.
make it out.
Yeah. Thanks for doing
You'd
this.
find me in that piano over there.
By the way, I haven't even talked about the piano. We haven't even talked about the set. We haven't even brought Johnny Infamous on camera yet. We haven't even. Andrew Mosker's coming in.
Oh, good.
The guy's like the passion that he has and the
man,
enthusiasm for this
incredible.
place is.
Yeah.
So he tells me, and we should let the audience know as well. This is David Foster's grand piano.
Oh, like the Olympic theme, David Foster.
Like dun 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 dun.
We're showing our age there, I think, but I like it. Yeah.
But like that was the very first reference I made when Andrew mentioned the piano. I was like, did he write the Winter Olympic theme on this piano? But when you're walking out, check it out. Like the inside the grand there's about 100 signature autographs in there from, like, I see off the top right here. I can see the Canadian tenors. Oprah has signed this piano. There's all these
Oprah
people.
signed it.
I don't know. Yeah, like when did
Okay.
David Foster and Oprah, I guess.
Maybe
So,
he got it underneath a chair at one of her shows.
may have been.
Could have
I don't
been.
know. Yeah, everybody got a piano that day. So, but anyway, just incredible. But yeah, I wouldn't want you to wind up in the piano. But
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate
we
that.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of your Stampede. Thanks for doing the show.
You too.
Yeah, you
Thanks.
got it. That's Corey Hogan. Corey's the MP for Calgary Confederation, of course, and a longtime good friend of this show. Coming up in just a second, political strategist Sharan Kaur is going to join us. She's in town. She's here in Calgary, just like we are. Sharon's on her road trip. As a matter of fact, heading back to the airport right after she does this interview. We're grateful to have her joining us. Right now, though, wanted to let you know that this episode is happening with the support of Athabasca University. This is Canada's open university. You can always find Athabasca University online at athabascau.ca. It was a big few weeks for the graduates coming out of AU. Congratulations to the class of 2026. Some really amazing features on these graduates on the website. If you want to learn a little bit more about their stories, you'll quickly realize that AU students have found a fit at Athabasca University that they may not have found elsewhere. The barriers are removed, right? I mean, for how many of you is post-secondary, is university right now not an option because you don't live anywhere close to university, or you're working 2 jobs, or you're looking after your parents and your kids at the same time? You can open your options with Athabasca University. Learn more about the AU Advantage and select your path today by checking out athabascau.ca. What a treat to have Sharan Kaur joining us right here on our Real Talk road trip. A longtime friend of the show, a recurring guest of ours, but we've never done an interview in person until now.
Well, I kind of feel like Taylor Swift because I just had Minister Hodgson and Corey Hogan open for me. So,
Right.
like, this is a Stampede special, but it's so great to be here in person. So
Yeah.
thanks for having me.
We want you nice and close to the microphones. I want to make sure everybody can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, we watched Jason Derulo last night at the Cowboys tent. Did you make it out to the Cowboys tent at all in your time
I
there?
did. I was there 2 nights ago. I was going to go back last night. Not last night, the night before. They had Flo Rida and
Yeah.
Sean Paul, but I didn't know Jason Derulo was here.
Mm-hmm. And he and this was the thing. The reason I bring it up is a band right after him, 5 Seconds of Summer, we heard, and a buddy of mine was saying, "Wow, it's neat. Like Jason Derulo opened for 5 Seconds of Summer." I said, "It's not really opening at the Cowboys Music Festival. They're just back-to-back concerts."
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say would be like the vibe of this show today. It's we don't have anybody opening for anybody. It's just headliner after headliner after headliner.
Well, you got a Minister Hodgson in here in his full-out cowboy attire, so I got to
Right.
say, it's at Stampede, anything is possible.
The
but it's
leather
where-
vest.
The leather vest, which can be multi-purpose. It's great.
You've been familiar with the power brokers in Calgary. You've worked in oil and gas. You worked for TC. You've been at the Stampede a million times.
Yeah.
Does this one? We'll let the audience know for people that may not be familiar. You're out from Ontario typically. You're
center
checking
of the
in,
universe.
The center of the universe, except for these 2 weeks
Yeah,
every
except for now.
July, where Calgary is the undisputed center. But does this year feel different?
I wouldn't say it feels different. I think that Stampede is one of those periods of time that everyone kind of comes together, right? Like you have everyone here. And keep in mind, we're in a really pivotal period of time in the Federation and how everyone feels. We've had some back-to-back really big announcements between Ottawa, BC, Alberta. So I think the mood is good. It's been interesting. I haven't been part of any conversations that have felt uncomfortable like they might have in the past when it comes to kind of the political dynamics. Everyone just wants to have fun during Stampede.
The looming referendum, I think, is relevant.
Yes.
And I think that when I'm talking about how people feel, sometimes I'm just describing how I feel. But I think people have their hearts in their throats a little bit, and curious to see how that's all going to work out in October. But it's also been interesting that the pipeline, the data center announcement just a few days ago. There's like these competing narratives, these competing storylines at the Stampede parties. Did you notice that?
Yeah, there is a bit of it. Listen, you don't come to Stampede and go to the events that folks like us do and not have any political conversations, right? There's people from across the country here. The Premier of Ontario is here. There's folks from BC. Everyone from across Canada is here, and a lot of the political chattering class is here. And so these conversations are taking place. I have kind of been privy to some discussions specifically around thoughts and feelings and vibes with the referendum coming and what people think. A lot of opinions about how Premier Smith has handled it. What
are people saying?
It's kind of a mixed, I would say, there's some mixed feelings from people that I'm hearing on this. I got to say, it's a really challenging thing for her to have to navigate, right? But a lot of people are feeling, at least a lot of people that I've talked to are feeling that we're not, Alberta, I think Alberta's not ready for what might happen in October in terms of how big or small that crowd of separatists will be. And I think that will be a defining moment for Premier Smith's political career, right? Because she's had to navigate two groups of people while saying she wants unity, but also kind of stoking that fire a little bit that she's been doing. So I think a lot of people are very curious to see what it means for her political future.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's way too early to say, but what do you think it could mean?
Honestly, as a spectator from Ontario, but someone, again, I've worked out here. I'm very pro energy sector. I believe that we have to do what we're doing, and I think what the province and the feds have done together is great. It is a massive, massive push forward for unity. But I think for her politics, she's in a tricky position because I think that she has, there's people Ottawa will never work for them, right? But then there's also the people who have some of the grievances, but know that we have to stay together. So they're okay with pushing back at Ottawa to get something good, to get a good deal for the province. And I think where she's going to suffer is the hardcore, let's just leave, right? Like kind of the MAGA type of folks, right? That are down south and pushing that narrative up there. And I think if that vote is big enough, I think it'll be a defining moment for her. So I do think her politics are a bit at risk. But that all being said, politics and life is many days. Maybe there'll be something that happens before the separatists too much for them to take a step back.
Yeah. I saw on your Instagram, people can follow you on Instagram. You posted a shot of you and your premier, so to speak, your Premier Ford. What are you laughing at?
It's funny because I went to a breakfast yesterday and I took a photo and I posted it and so many people are responding, being like, "Oh my God, aren't you a liberal?" And it's like, guys, people can be friends and take pictures together. It's not like this is not like cooties can't go near you.
Yeah, well, I was just Johnny's showing us the photo right now. He actually he pulls off the Western wear. He really, and he always
sure
has.
Does.
He's always looked good in Western wear. He got the big buckle going on there. But did you have a chance to chat with him, or what did you guys get into?
We didn't really get into much. It was a
photo op.
It was just social, like 5 seconds of pleasantries and everyone carrying on. But I've spent time with a lot of his team members out here who are here, and a couple of the other ministers. And I think that at least from my perspective, Ontario and the federal government have a really good working relationship. So like I've been around these crowds long enough that it's not even about politics, right? Like I was staying with former Ford people as well. So it's like we all kind of get along. So
Yeah, no, it's good. I think like the circuit here, the Stampede circuit. I mean, there's a reason why we're down here, and it really is a remarkable thing. The fact that some people are even dragging their asses out of bed today is a remarkable thing, considering how the weekend went for some people. But you know that the conversations that are happening are moving the needle.
Oh yeah.
And I think that the connections that are made here are significant, and it truly is. I mean, it's a very unique event.
Yeah.
From that standpoint, there's really not another event in Canada. Correct me if you disagree. That's quite like the Calgary Stampede when it comes to bringing people together in those rooms, on those patios, like you said, and like in bipartisan spirit, and from different provinces, and the conversations that happen, truly are important ones.
I always like to call events like this, and there's a lot of international summits that can be similar, but from a Canadian context, I always like to call Stampede like a bit of like speed dating, like political speed dating.
Yeah.
You have politicians here, you've got all the major business representations here, you've got consultants, you've got media, you've got people from across the board, and everyone's just kind of together having like a good time, right? And having conversations and going to each other's events, and also like it's social, but you can also have conversations that are worthy of business and government. So it's one of those events that everyone comes to, and it's a lot. Like there's a lot of events, there's a lot of stuff to do, and you just gotta rally on.
Was there anything that surprised you this Stampede, or any conversations you had that you didn't expect? Or
I went to a chuck wagon for the first time. I've come to Stampede so many times, and I went to a chuck.
You saw the chucks go last night?
Oh yeah, I went last night, and it was towards the end we actually watched individuals go on it without any like they went on it like bareback basically.
Oh, the relay.
Yeah, and I
the
was
Indigenous relay.
Yeah, and I was
it's
like,
wild.
Those are some talented guys out there. Like it put everyone else to shame, and I was like, holy moly, like that was wild.
They've added relay, I think in recent years. That's like a relatively recent add as like a full-time fixture.
Oh yeah, it takes some talent.
As part of kind of the grandstand show. They do the chucks and it is.
I was definitely impressed, and like how that is beyond me.
No, I was talking to a buddy. I was like, I don't know how you do that for the first time.
No, yeah.
I don't know if you figure out how you're good or especially if you're not good.
Like I don't know how they're walking today. Like I don't know how they're walking today. It's just like wow. It was great talent. It was there's all these like we were in a suite with a bunch of different people, former politicians, and it was just everyone was talking about. There was some conversation about what's happening in Alberta, but for the most part, everyone was just talking about like how great Stampede was.
Yeah. When you say what's happening in Alberta, there was conversation about what's happening in Alberta. Are you talking about the separation thing?
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Is that what everybody's talking about?
Yeah, I would say everyone was talking about that, but even more so given the announcement that came recently with BC, I think a lot of people were kind of just like waiting to see where Evie would go and where like how he was going to come on board with doing something, and there's a lot of chatter about that. It's like, wow, good move on his part. He looks like a winner. What does that mean for Alberta? And what does that mean for Ottawa? But I will say the one thing that came out of it is that I'm so used to having previously worked in the Trudeau government. People just, like, for example, when we got TMX pipeline, I worked for Morneau at the time. He was a big part of getting the TMX done. And the vibes changed out here. Right before we came versus after we came, it was a very interesting I would say welcome. People would be angry or happy. And the comments that were coming out of, I would say, discussions last night and how people were feeling was very much, oh, BC got on board. Alberta's there. We respect Carney. And that was like the constant same, I would say, feeling that people had, is that there was a lot of respect for the Prime Minister from both pools. So I didn't get that vibe back in the day, right? There was like people who would be like, yeah, you got TMX done, but we still don't like Trudeau. And that wasn't what I was hearing this time around, which was interesting.
Anything about, and we'll remind people as we wrap, and I let people know you got to get to the airport. I can't keep you any longer, but you worked, you have worked in energy and in oil and gas for a long time. You're very familiar with the pipeline idea. What's one detail or something you're keeping an eye on with this new pipeline announcement, and maybe what you'll be watching over the next number of months, weeks or months, that's maybe still TBD, something that maybe hasn't necessarily convinced you either way that it's a good deal, something you're keeping an eye on?
I wouldn't say what I would say is keeping an eye on. I'm really interested in again, having like, again, I'm probably the biggest oil energy sector loving liberal. I worked for TC Energy. I worked for Aramco overseas. Like I get it. But one part that always frustrated me about the sector here in Canada was how we treat legitimate consultation versus just the noise. And I'm really interested to see how we manage the activist crowds and how we manage the people who are just going to tie themselves to the trees and say this is bad no matter what, because sometimes those voices do overthrow what's actually considered consultation. So I think I want to see how they navigate that. Is going to be really interesting to me.
Are you expecting less of that though, based on the route that it's going to follow and the fact that they're not?
No, I think that I think they're smart, kind of paralleling the line and the route, because you've got all these things already done, but there's this ideological following out there that they don't care where. It's either all or nothing. So it's going to be interesting to see how do we push back on that and how do we kind of make sure that the message gets out there.
Thanks for doing this. It's great to see you in person. Safe journey back to Ontario, and we'll look forward to your next appearance on the show.
Until next Stampede.
You got it. Until next Stampede. That's Sharan Kaur joining us here at the National Music Centre. Real Talk is on the road in my hometown of Calgary. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to talk to the CEO of the National Music Centre, Andrew Mosker. You know, they've just celebrated their 10th anniversary here, so it's a huge celebratory vibe here at the NMC as well. And in just a second, Alisha Reynolds is going to join us. Alisha's president and CEO of Tourism Calgary. These events, and of course this episode, happens because of amazing partners, amazing sponsors like our friends at the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce. We're talking to you about these mixers. We're talking to you about the get-togethers. There was a big one just the other day, right in downtown Calgary, and it was hosted by our friends at the Edmonton Chamber. They understand making connections. They understand the value of networking and relationship building, and that was on display at the event down here in Calgary just the other day. You know, Real Talk is a very proud Edmonton Chamber member, and we encourage you to as well invest in your business with an Edmonton Chamber membership if that's your neck of the woods. You can read more about their advocacy impact, read more about what they do, and of course sign up for membership if you don't yet have it online today at edmontonchamber.com. And no, I am not trying to troll our next guest by reading an Edmonton Chamber ad as we welcome the president and CEO of Tourism Calgary, Alisha Reynolds, to the show. It's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for rolling out the red carpet, for putting out that welcome mat like you have to bring us down here to Calgary.
Despite that gaslighting introduction, I am delighted to be with you.
I was just having a little giggle to myself. But hey, in all seriousness, this is... and I say this as a born and raised Calgarian, somebody who's lived here for like 25 years of my life. There's something just remarkably special about the Stampede stretch, those 2 weeks or so at the beginning of July, and you can kind of I don't know, just wherever you are in the city, it just feels different.
Yeah, the magic is in the air. This is like Christmas to me for a couple of weeks. This is our Olympics. This is what we train for in the tourism and hospitality space. So we're the envy of the country and North America and the globe with one of the most significant festivals in the world. Now in its 114th year, there's magic and fireworks in the air, and it's feeling good.
Yeah, and kind of, I guess, you know, there's the constants, there's the traditions, and then there's kind of the new offerings every year as well. We were from our perch up in Edmonton watching closely this dust up that I know now feels like ancient history, but around that Cowboys music tent and the like, and I wanted to make sure to ask you about it, despite the fact that some time has passed, because you spoke out on it quite clearly. You were quite assertive on the importance that festival represents, and I think bigger picture, correct me if I'm wrong, but it struck me like for you it was also more of a conversation around what the Calgary Stampede represents and what Calgary represents. Yes, it was about the folks living in this neighborhood, and yes, it's about that music festival in particular, but it seemed to me like you wanted that conversation to be a little bit bigger.
That's right. My point was that we need to consider who we want to be as a city. We're so fortunate to be a year-round eventful destination, and we spend so much time and effort building our reputation as an incredible event host. I want to make sure that as we continue to grow as a community, we're loving our community, we're great to our residents, and everything first and foremost is amazing for the people who live here, and also that we're creating enabling policy for people to do business here. We need regulatory certainty always for people to invest here, and that is the bedrock of private investment, to know what is expected of you. So I applaud the city for jumping right in the middle of that rodeo arena, getting in there, talking to Cowboys, talking to Badlands, talking to the other festivals about what works for their business. And I do feel that a balance was struck. I do feel that parties were listened to, and we do have a commitment for right after Stampede to have a robust conversation with industry, including elected officials and administration from the city, about what we learned, what we can do going forward to make sure that businesses want to invest here and that this vibrancy of our city is supported in every form.
What do you and your team, I mean, I should let people know they can check out visitcalgary.com, and there's some great resources there. It's the official website for Tourism Calgary, but you must have some pretty fascinating insights on what's driving investor confidence in Calgary. You laid it out a little bit there, talking about certainty, but what's driving visitor growth? Really, what's kind of the secret sauce to it all?
There's a multi-prong approach that has been stewarded for the last handful of years, and you're now seeing it come out of the ground. So air access has been a huge driver that has enabled more global visitation. We're seeing a huge increase in international visitor spend this year, 2026 over 2025. We're up over 15% in international visitor spend into the Calgary market. 19% visitor spend increase from the U.S. market alone. So not only is Canada's reputation, Alberta's reputation, and Calgary's reputation specifically driving a level of interest, we're making it easier for people to get here. So we now have over 112 direct destinations from our Calgary International Airport, and that list is growing through the likes of Sao Paulo and Abu Dhabi. Direct air access matters. Getting people here easily matters. Then when they are here, we're making it easier for them to access things. We have things like the Calgary Attractions Pass, which is 11 of our local partners that make it more affordable and easier to get around and experience our destination. And then you can't walk a couple blocks in this beautiful city without seeing something coming out of the ground that is changing the skyline. Just over our shoulders here, we can see Scotia Place, which is going to be the newest NHL arena in the league. You're seeing Workland Centre. You're seeing the Olympic Plaza transformation. All of those things are the secret sauce that are driving what is now record-setting visitation to Calgary.
Interesting to hear significant spending increase in a good way from American visitors, and I'm certainly I'm quite certain that it does not go both ways right now. That many of the sort of the American, as we might call them, like tourism destinations, are reporting that visits from Canadians are down considerably. Americans have not punished Canada, it doesn't sound like, for Canadians holding back on their tourism spending in the United States.
We are being perfectly Canadian.
Have you worked
moment.
on that? Is that intentional?
We have worked on that. We are being perfectly Canadian in this moment by being a good friend. We're saying that everybody is welcome here. Our arms are open. Our destination is a welcoming place. And so we're seeing that messaging, which is uniquely, lovingly Canadian, is absolutely working. Americans are still coming here to spend money, to spend their time, to create new connections. And ultimately, we say tourism is the best bridge to understanding other cultures and other countries. And so to those that are listening, continue to have your arms open. It's a really important opportunity for our country to create relationships with others.
What did people tell you that they were surprised to discover about Calgary? There's things about Calgary that everybody knows, but what do you hear about the surprises?
We're hearing more and more about the music scene. So, of course, when people come to Calgary, they are delighted by the warm Western hospitality. And then they say, ooh, there was all this other stuff. There's all this great music coming out of our city. We have all these incredible festivals lined up for the rest of the summer and beyond. We have a growing body of opportunities in the winter months, things like Chinook Blast. We have an
here at the National Music Center would not have happened without your incredible team, their advocacy, and just really sort of, practicing what they preach, like making it easy for us to come do business in this city and to come visit this city. I was amazed to see some of the numbers. Was it a 2025 study, I think, by MNP, found that the Calgary Stampede had generated over $720 million in economic impact for the province, which was interesting. Now, of course, the lion's share of that would be in Calgary, but that was up 33% from 2019. And I wanted to make sure before we wrap to ask you about Alberta's goal. There's some bold vision at play, trying to reach $25 billion in visitor spending by 2035, and Calgary's going to factor into that in a big way. How do you double annual visitor spending from $3 to $6 billion in less than 10 years?
We punch above our weight. We've been doing that as a community, and we are in a sea of partners who are doing everything to welcome the world in that uniquely friendly way that Calgary offers. We have attractions that are developing new experiences. We have, as I said, transportation partners that are making it easier. Have orders of government that are working together to invest in our city, and all of that is creating the conditions for us to punch above our weight and for us to be a standout destination in attracting the world. I look at us like the expansion of the BMO Convention Centre. We are Canada's leading convention destination. We stand to gain so much from leaning into that meetings and convention space. And again, it gives people an opportunity to experience Calgary in a different way, to fall in love with it like we know they will, and then to come back time and time again.
Thank you for rolling out the red carpet. Thank you for working, generally in what you do. And it must feel like a little bit like an honor and a privilege, I would say, to steer a team that is championing such a special place. And I would just say, and obviously I'm biased, born and raised here, but it truly is a special city. There truly is something very unique about Calgary. And it's amazing. It's very apparent how much you enjoy what you do.
I always say best job ever. I feel so fortunate to be in this role at this time, and the people make it absolutely worth every second of zest and passion that we all put behind this incredible work. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's nice to have you here. Like the pedal is to the metal as we speak. The first Monday of Stampede is a big day. And so, yeah, thanks for joining us. If you're just joining our live stream right now, we've been talking to Alisha Reynolds. Alisha is president and CEO of Tourism Calgary. And you can check out their website. Start planning your visit to Calgary. Learn a little bit more about what they do by checking out visitcalgary.com. Thanks for doing this, Alisha. Coming up in 30 seconds, Andrew Mosker is going to join us. Andrew is the founding CEO of the National Music Center. And you can see, Johnny, we can even take our wide studio shot. You can see everybody's connecting in here. That's what the Stampede is all about. Conversations happening in the green room, conversations happening in the background. And of course, that's the point. We want to be right here in the heart of the action. This episode is happening with support from our friends at North Road Investment Council. Here's something that some people, maybe even most people, don't realize about the financial industry. You could be working with a financial planner and feel like everything's covered, but behind the scenes you find out that your investment management is actually being outsourced to a separate firm. The result of that means that you're effectively paying twice, right? Once for the plan and then again for the people that are actually managing the investments. And that can really add up. Well, that's where North Road Investment Council does things differently. They bring financial planning and investment counsel together under one roof, so your strategy isn't split across separate providers. Everything is coordinated, everything's transparent, everything is designed to work as one integrated plan. The team at North Road looks at your full financial picture from where you are today to where you're headed. So questions like how much is enough, or when can you retire, or how should you structure your income, how do you pass on your wealth, those are all part of the conversation. So whether you're looking for a second opinion or a full financial roadmap, you don't have to overcomplicate and you don't have to overpay. With North Road, get the advice you need when you need it and stay in control of the journey ahead. You can learn more at northroadic.com. Well, this guy is the straw that stirs the drink. at this remarkable institution that is the National Music Centre on the 1st of July, just a few days ago, celebrated 10 years. And here to talk about it is the founding CEO of the National Music Centre, Andrew Mosker.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Just a short time ago, you and I were standing in this room less than a month ago.
That's right.
And you said, I think that this would be a good space for good destination for the Real Talk road trip. And here we are. I'm having a bit of a moment here.
Here we are.
Here we are a few weeks later.
You're like one of the most popular podcasts in Alberta. This is a studio for making music. So we thought it would be an amazing place here at the National Music Centre, inside our recording studio for you to be broadcasting from, to celebrate National Music Centre's 10th anniversary, which, as you just said, happened this year.
Congratulations! It's a huge deal, and I've been telling people all weekend. You know, we've been out spreading the word.
We appreciate that
the Real Talk road trip was touching down here, and then I was just getting so enthusiastic about all of these sort of almost, you might call them niche details, like little things I've seen in here. Here's an example: you have Corey Hart's Ray-Bans from 1984 or whatever it was on display. That's like one example of a million things. There's an amazing Nelly Furtado exhibition here. There's David Foster's freaking piano
right
behind
here.
us. There's
right
Neil
here.
Young's amp over there in the corner. There's a million different things to talk about. And so I've been telling people all weekend, I say, just wait till Andrew's with us on Monday. He's going to bring you up to speed. He's going to tell you what you need to know about the National Music Centre, but truly a very special place.
It's a very special place because I think when you look at it from a Canadian perspective, we did something in Alberta for all of Canada, and we built the first ever National Music Centre for this country. Canada didn't have a National Music Centre, effectively like a National Music Museum for Canada, a place where, you know, the artists like Leonard Cohen and Randy Bachman and Katie Lang and so many others, their stories could be held and not forgotten. And with that comes their collections, you know, their guitars, their amps, their preamps, their costumes, their pianos. And there was no home in Canada actually preserving these stories and actually sharing them with the rest of the world. So I think what's amazing about the National Music Centre in a lot of ways is we recognize that there was a void in Canada, and then we created it largely through private philanthropy in Alberta for all of Canada. So it was a way to like lead culturally from the West, and in a true Alberta fashion with the generosity of Albertans. And then of course the governments came along to help us build the building and provide some annual support. But also the philanthropy and the sponsorship, private sector of this country, and particularly here in Alberta, has believed in this organization from the beginning. I mean, it started in 2005, 2006 when we launched it. It took 10 years to build it. We saved the King Eddie Hotel along the way, a local iconic
We have to
venue.
talk about the
We
King
got to talk
Eddie.
about the King Eddie. Our biggest artifact in the collection, Ryan, by the way, is the King Eddie.
Absolutely. And we'll let people know we're literally right above it right now.
Above
so our
it,
studio is directly above the historic King Eddie Hotel, which when I was growing up here was and I say it respectfully, like it was a little bit, I mean, here's the good word for it. It was gritty.
It was great.
It was gritty.
But that's
and it was
what,
just this iconic live music venue.
big time, yeah.
You know?
And a lot of great iconic live music venues are gritty.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gives them soul and character. And the interesting thing about the King Eddie was it was Calgary's home of the blues for so many years. From about the late 1970s, early 1980s is when it really started to take off. And so many great blues legends from around the world played here, and it created an amazing community prior to the internet for people from all walks of life to gather to listen to great music. Now, when it closed in the early 2000s, this building, the King Eddie, was going to be torn down to build the 4th Street underpass on the way to Stampede to connect this neighborhood, East Village, to the Calgary Stampede. But we thought, I was around obviously in those days, and the idea of a National Music Centre for Canada was brewing back in those days, around 2004, 2005. And I said to our board at the time, why don't we build the National Music Centre around the King Eddie, try to convince the city of Calgary to save it, to sell it to us, and then we'll raise a bunch of money to build the National Music Centre, which is a charitable organization. And the city, they agreed. At the time, Mayor Dave Bronconnier was the guy in charge. Bronco was in charge. He loved this neighborhood. He wanted to do something big for this neighborhood. It was one of his big things he wanted to do before he left Calgary. And we were one of the first projects out of the gate here in East Village. We said, sell us the King Eddie. We'll build the NMC around it. We'll tell Canada that in Calgary and East Village, we've got a home for music, and the King Eddie would be its heart and soul. So they said yes, We had to take the King Eddie back down brick by brick. It was not in great shape. And we rebuilt it from scratch. And now we've got a brand new King Eddie connected to Canada's National Music Centre. So we've got local, regional, and national all combined into one. And it's a big artifact, the King Eddie, and people love it. About 50,000 people a year come to the King Eddie. We have 17 Stampede parties this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, people love it. People love coming back to the Eddie because it's got that grit still, right?
Well, and I feel like longtime residents of the city will have their own King Eddie memory.
That's right.
From back in the day, and then they can make their current ones. And then also there's people that will be seeing it for the first time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it has been beautifully restored. Yeah, it's done just an amazing job. I mean, this entire building though is just striking. It's just a jewel, I think, in the crown for Calgary, and it's not lost on me as well, the word national in the name. You know, the National Music Centre. This is an important Canadian institution. Why is it significant to you that it's in Calgary?
Because Alberta needed a national institution. It didn't have one. And a lot of national institutions in Canada traditionally have been created by the federal government. Well, the federal government has said, we're going to build a Museum of Human Rights in Winnipeg, or we're going to build a Museum of Aviation or History in Gatineau or Ottawa, or Pier 21 in Halifax. And so we were watching that. I was around in those days, and I was watching that. And there was, when Prime Minister Harper was the Prime Minister, there was a movement to try to build the National Portrait Gallery in Calgary. I'm not sure if you remember that, but that was a long time ago, right? So the federal government was looking for cities to build a National Portrait Gallery. It never happened. The project fell apart. To this day, it's still not built. So I was sitting there on the sidelines watching that, and I just said to myself, why don't we just build a National Music Museum of Canada, but call it the National Music Centre, be very innovative about it, and do it from Alberta, because at the time, I had been working for another private nonprofit organization called Cantos Music Foundation, which stood for Canada's Treasury of Sound on 11th Avenue and 1st Street Southeast. But it was really small, under lock and key. There was like 3, 4, 5 staff. You can only see it by appointment. We had a lot of these instruments you see in the studio there. We weren't really national. We were local, right? Aspiring to be something else. So we reinvented ourselves as the National Music Centre, did not ask the federal government or any government for permission. We just said we're going to do it. And so we led Canada in Alberta in a very Albertan way, in a very entrepreneurial way, even though it's a charity and a nonprofit, to build something for all of Canada. And I will say that the federal government, the provincial government, and the city loved the idea, and they all contributed capital money way back 10 plus years ago, about $95 million in capital money to help get the project built or started. It paid for about 50% of the capital costs, and we've raised the balance from the private sector. So, Ryan, it was, I think, a really great Alberta story that we can do this for Canada. We can do it from Calgary. We can do it from East Village. We can do it from Alberta, and we could lead culturally building this home for Canada's music from the West for all of Canada. So I think it was really important. I think so, even more so now, more so now that we can say that, Alberta cares about Canada. We're doing something of great significance here that has been recognized by all the Canadian Music Halls of Fame, the artists, from, Nickelback's been here, Katie Lang's been here, Randy Bachman's been here, Joni Mitchell's been here. And so many other iconic artists have been here, and they've seen the facility, and they're like, this is incredible. Yeah. How can I, as an artist, be a part of this? So that now all the halls of fame are here for Canada. So there is truly, we have invented a national institution in Alberta for Canada through private means initially, and now with the help of the public sector as well.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll let you know. I don't know if we confirmed this with you or not. Your team knows because they've helped us set up for it. Corb Lund's going to be joining us on tomorrow's show, and he's going to talk about his work in advocacy. I think he's fired up. I won't put words in his mouth, but Corb's going to talk to us about Cole, and then he's going to play.
Yeah, good.
And your team here at the National Music Centre is going to be mixing that for us.
Nice.
And so Corb was pretty excited to hear that. JJ Shiplett's going to come play here on Thursday, so we're looking forward. But it's just everywhere you look around here. every hallway you go down, everything you see, there's just something that you marvel at. You were talking to me. I mean, you're a piano player.
I'm a piano player. I play some guitar.
You took me around, but like, there was a harpsichord you showed me. Wasn't it from the 1700s?
From the 1500s.
The 1500s. 200 years off. I was way off.
1570s to be exact.
Right?
From Italy.
I mean, stuff like that just blows your mind.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, particularly with Corb and JJ, who have done, have worked here, have recorded here, have written songs here. You can ask, Corb did 4 nights live in the King Eddie and recorded a live record on the Rolling Stones mobile, which he has not released yet, and he knows it. So that's coming at some point in the future. And I think the piece about the artists is really important about the National Music Center. A lot of museums around the world put things on display, exhibit artifacts, tell stories. I think one thing that the National Music Center has done globally that's unique to the world of these types of facilities is we've built in a very strong artist development program, which is really exciting for Canadian artists. So whether it's Corb or JJ shot one of his first videos in our theater across the street when we first opened. I saw him the other day and he goes, "It's still the best video I've ever shot in my career."
I love to hear that.
And so whether it's Indigenous artists from Quebec singing and performing in French, hip hop, classical music, country, electronic music, all this music in Canada is welcome here at the NMC. And a lot of the artists, whether they're in this very studio working with our engineers, using this collection, derive something really special out of the NMC, because we like to often say that we like to use history to make history. Right? And the making history is all about bringing and welcoming Canadian artists from across the musical spectrum in here to use the studios, use the collection, 450 years worth of music, living collection technologies that are available. That harpsichord's the oldest one that I showed you. And then right up to the Rolling Stones mobile and all kinds of cool microphones and samplers and all this great gear. I've toured hundreds of artists from all over the world through this studio and through this collection, and they're always gobsmacked. They're always like, "Hey man, what's that? Hey man, can you turn that on? Man, I need to come back here and make a record." And Bruce Springsteen's guitar player, Steve Van Zandt, as an example, right?
Nice little name drop.
We gave him a tour of this place, and he goes, "Man, I got to come back up here with the Disciples of Soul and make a record. This is amazing," So it's
you've referenced the Rolling Stones mobile studio a couple of times, and people can check out studiobell.ca if they want to learn more about this. You can read about all of the incredible, I don't know if I want to say assets. That sounds a little too cold. The items, the collectibles, just the remarkable gear that's here. Again, that's studiobell.ca. We'll link to it in the show notes so people can check it out. But for people that are unfamiliar, this blew my mind. I don't know how you describe it. It's like a big, not a panel van. It's a big truck. It's a huge truck. It's like an RV that was, well, you tell the story. It was converted. It was built by the Rolling Stones in like the 1960s.
That's right.
You have it. It's the actual one, not a replica.
The real thing.
The real thing is parked here in the museum.
That's
right.
Yeah,
the
that's right. So when we were putting this collection together, a lot of these pieces you see around you before this building, we had decided, okay, organs, pianos, harpsichords, synthesizers, drum machines, and recording equipment. And one day I got a call from a consultant that was working with us. He said, "Hey, one of my friends, not name dropping, Ryan, but one of my friends is recording, engineering a record with Lenny Kravitz right now." And Lenny's engineer said, "Hey, the Rolling Stones mobile ended up in New Jersey. The Stones sold." This is in the late 90s. And the guy wants to get rid of it. So once again, the generosity of Albertans who are so philanthropic. We have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 really, really key donors at the National Music Center who have helped us build this collection through donations. So we raised the money and we acquired the Rolling Stones mobile 25 years ago. And it sat in storage here in Calgary for many, many years until we got this building built. And then we built it into the King Eddie. And now it's a fully tracking recording studio. It was the first professional mobile recording studio really in the history of recorded music. That could be debated by some scholars, but what I would say the most cool part about that is the Rolling Stones had tax problems in the early 1970s.
Okay.
They had to leave England. They had a terrible manager at the time, and they had to leave England because they owed a lot of tax money. So they moved to France, and this mobile truck, they had to keep working. So they created a mobile recording studio where they could record anywhere. They could rent a castle, rent a house, pull the wires out of the mobile studio, set up the microphones, and start playing in the kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, or whatever. And that became the foundation of one of their greatest albums of all time, Exile on Main Street. They were exiled from England and they ended up in France. And the great thing about that is they said, hey, other people want to use this mobile and get out of a full-fledged recording studio and record wherever they want. So all these other incredible artists rented it. Bob Marley's first tour of England was recorded live on that. Led Zeppelin. I mean, it's endless. Santana, Dire Straits, Nana Mouskouri, even live at the Acropolis in Greece. Like, it's an endless list of incredible artists. Even Neil Young. Neil Young recorded the string parts for Harvest, London Philharmonic. He was making the record in North America. The London Philharmonic was recording the string parts. They were done on the Rolling Stones mobile. So it's got a minor Canadian connection to it as well. So that mobile is one of the iconic pieces of technology in recorded music history. And one of its most famous pieces, other than the Rolling Stones, was "Smoke on the Water" by Led Zeppelin, by Deep Purple. Sorry, and it's even referenced in the song. "Smoke on the Water," arguably one of the most ripped off and practiced guitar licks of all time.
Sure.
Right? But even that was done on the Rolling Stones mobile. So it's here. It's functioning. Corb used it. Another great Western Canadian act, the Harpoonists and the Axe Murderer, a blues band from BC, won a WCMA award with it. Was nominated for a Juno Live Music Award, Best Blues Album of the Year. And one of the programs that we have for our 10th anniversary is we're bringing 10 artists from across Canada to record 10 new live projects on the Rolling Stones mobile. Corb and the Harpoonists help us pilot the use of it again. So there's a long and winded history of an artifact that, was owned by arguably one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time. It ended up in Alberta because of the generosity of philanthropy and was built into Canada's National Music Centre for Canadian artists now to use.
It's so cool. And we could talk about just the Rolling Stones mobile
big
for
time.
like 3
you
hours.
can still smell it when you walk in there. You can smell Keith, you can you can smell a lot of things in that control room,
well,
right?
You could use your imagination.
You can.
on if that mobile could talk.
You could.
But I mean, it's just an example of there's one thing here that could captivate somebody all day long. And there's just so much to see here. And one of the things that struck me as well, and I'll just recommend that people check out studiobell.ca. You can plan your visit to the National Music Centre. You can learn more about the collection, understand what goes into the studios and the rentals. People do record here. But it's not sort of just a museum. People that are expecting to come here. I mean, Nelly Furtado goes into the Hall of Fame, and then you guys have this wonderful exhibit that visitors can see now. I'm assuming it's a limited time exhibition. So there's that, but then there's also a lot of hands-on stuff where was it Randy Bachman that can teach you how to play guitar and stuff like that?
Teach you how to play Let It Ride. He can teach you how to play American Woman. He will teach you how to play Taking Care of Business.
So there's videos people can watch, and there's a guitar there they can play, and you choose your skill level from beginner all the way up.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's custom videos for people.
And taught to you by Randy. And as Randy would tell you, I will teach you how to play it the right way.
Yeah.
Right? Don't go on YouTube and watch somebody else. Watch me. Right. So I think, one of the interesting things also about National Music Centre, it's much more than a museum, is what we often like to say, Ryan. Last year, in year 2025, we welcomed our 1 millionth visitor to National Music Centre. When you think about that, to see largely the museum exhibits, those people would have come to an event, a concert, Canada Day. We just celebrated Canada Day. We usually average about 10,000 people on that one day every year. It is, and that's our anniversary every day, and everybody loves to come out and interact with the exhibits or a special activity like a drum circle, or just listen to a great Canadian artist perform in whatever musical style. The exhibits are interesting because when there was no home for Canadian music in terms of a museum, as you said, one of the things we did when we were building this building is we went to all the Canadian Music Halls of Fame and we said, you need to relocate your Canadian Music Hall of Fame to Western Canada and to Alberta. How do you think that went over, Ryan? It was a long conversation. It was a very long conversation, meaning that they're like, I'm not sure we want to leave Toronto or Montreal and relocate our facility to Alberta. But I think once we got, we built the relationship over many years, and then when they saw the building and the quality of the architecture and all the exhibits and the studios and how it was all coming together, the Canadian music industry was brass. Many of the leaders said, we got to do this. Let's take our halls of fame, which had no physical home in Eastern Canada anyways. All they were doing was inducting artists at an award show. But there was no physical place where you could go see Shania
There
Twain.
needs to be a physical place.
There was no place where you could go see Nelly Furtado after she was inducted. Nothing.
Yeah.
It didn't exist in Canada. We were the first to create it. So, now we have all of the latest class of the Hall of Fame up on exhibit, from the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, a disc in Quebec, the Francophone Music Hall of Fame for Canada is here in Alberta. Think about that for a minute. That's a partnership with Quebec and the Francophone music industry of Canada. And then, of course, the Junos and the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. The first inductee of the class of this year has been announced, Nelly Furtado. We've got an amazing exhibit up with many, many of her costumes from over the course of her career, as well as a few other really, really cool things.
My favorite part of the Nelly Furtado exhibit is the book, her scribbler.
Yeah.
From I'm assuming from like relatively early in her career, she's written dates. You can see her handwriting. She's writing these lyrics down, and it's really neat to see like a teenager's or like a young adult's lyrics written out, words scribbled out, written in, chicken scratch.
Yeah, you can see her creative process.
It's like before she was Nelly Furtado,
that's
so
right.
to speak.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about the NMC is whether it's lyric sheets or diaries of early lyrics of songs, in the case of Nelly Furtado's songs, being forged, you get to see the evidence of this creative process right before your eyes here at the National Music Centre in a whole range of exhibits, also our online collection as well. And we're really excited about the next 10 years because we really want to grow our collections. We've got 8,000 pieces in the collection. This is really the place in Canada for Canadian musical heritage. There is no other facility or organization doing this amount of work that has a collection of this size and scope, including Nelly's early diaries and costumes and even some early instruments and awards. I mean, I think when we get calls from these artists and as we're working with them throughout their Hall of Fame induction process, it's amazing to see the emotion that comes from these artists and their families when we get to help tell their stories.
Well,
and when it's really amazing. Yeah, it's really an amazing moment, even to watch an artist put their name on a Hall of Fame wall and see their exhibition of their own items. Yeah. To be there for that moment, we know that we're doing the right work for Canada and for our artists. These stories are not being lost. They're being passed on to younger generations, tourists. I got to tell you one story. On Canada Day, I was with my 16-year-old son, where there was thousands of people, hundreds of people in the NMC. We were walking through the Canadian Music Hall of Fame, and my 16-year-old son says to me, I just heard somebody say, I didn't know the Tragically Hip was Canadian.
Oh, geez.
I'm kidding. And my 16-year-old son told me that, and I said to him, I go, Anthony, that's why we built this place.
Yeah.
So people know that these artists are from Canada.
I love it. Andrew, thank you for having us. You've done just an unbelievable job with this. We're thrilled to be here. We got Calgary's mayor locked and loaded here, ready to go. So, but I just wanted to just let you know how grateful we are. I'm walking in here every single morning, and just the architecture here and how stunningly beautiful it is, and just it really truly has been. And this is just episode 1 of our 5-episode run here. But to your incredible team that's got us rolling and has welcomed us, we really appreciate it. And you can consider me to be your newest and most enthusiastic evangelist for the National Music Centre. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Ryan. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate your audience, and thanks. And let us know if you have any other questions, man.
Yeah,
we're really excited that
we
you're
will.
here.
We won't hesitate. And I'll let people know they can check out studiobell.ca. We've got Calgary's mayor coming up in about 5 minutes. That's His Worship Jeromy Farkas. As a matter of fact, if I do have an extra minute, Andrew, I know that we've already kind of just wrapped you, but can you tell us just? Is this a bolo tie that you're giving me?
You.
Oh,
I brought
gosh.
you. I come bearing gifts, Ryan.
Okay, I like that. Well, we've got some Real Talk gear that we'll hook you up with as well. We got some Real Talk socks.
Okay.
That'll look, they feel very nice under the cowboy boots.
I could use those.
Everybody here that's watching us on YouTube, our live stream presented by California Closets, online at californiaclosets.ca. You can book a free consultation. They will see this magnificent grand piano behind us.
That's a cool one.
And I was talking a little bit earlier about how it's David Foster's piano.
That's right.
We do have a minute here until His His Worship joins us. What can you tell us about the piano that's here on set with us at the National Music Center?
This piano, David Foster does raises money for organ transplant and donations. So, livers and hearts and all kinds of things, what he does with his foundation. So he had an event here, and a donor bought this piano at that event, and it came to us as a gift. The piano is amazing. David has had over, at least 100 artists sign this piano.
Yeah.
It's a Yamaha piano. It's a really, really great workhorse studio piano that a lot of artists have used in our studio. But inside it, there are some really cool signatures. Chuck Berry, as an example.
Yeah.
Quincy Jones. Actually, the great former Alberta senator and musician, Tommy Banks, man.
Yeah.
Like, it is when you look inside that piano, it's incredible. A lot of great people that David Foster has worked with in his career have supported him in his charitable efforts. So this piano, what he does is he has all of his friends sign it, and then he puts it up for auction, and usually a very generous philanthropist buys it, and it ends up somewhere, and that's why it's in the studio here at the National Music Center. I can't think of a better artist who, David Foster trained with Tommy Banks. David Foster calls Tommy Banks the most important mentor he had in his life, next to Quincy Jones. And so to have Tommy's signature on it, David's signature on it, and their broader reach of all the artists that David worked with in his career. And it's an amazing list of artists. Every day I look in there and I see a signature I hadn't seen before. I'm like, oh, look at that one.
Well, we'll post it on our social media. We'll shoot a video and let people see it, because it's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It really is amazing. In our live chat here, powered by Park Power, we've got a whole bunch of people talking about just their favorite part of this facility here, of the National Music Center. Jay Bess has never got the chance to see it before leaving Calgary, says, but it gave me a reason to come back, which is awesome. SLMS says it's so great that they did that with the King Eddie. Tracy says just so very proud of Calgary and what they've done with this, which is awesome. A lot of people are, how about this from Ms. B, says, I need to visit this place sometime soon. Says what an iconic space, and it truly is, Ms. B. And then some people are sharing like their personal favorites from here. Like Tracy D says there's a clear acrylic piano. Is that true?
Yeah,
you have a clear acrylic piano here?
It's a piano that was inspired by the Golden Gate Bridge. So in terms of design, a lot of, like, when you think of a piano as a piece of furniture, fundamentally. So a lot of designers design fancy cases around the piano. And we have one that was inspired by the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a Zyler piano. That's the one she's referring to. It's very, very cool. We've got a bunch of other, we have a piano in the shape of an airplane at the Calgary International Airport. We've got a flying saucer piano. We've got a blue star piano inspired by George Gershwin, the famous American composer, and a bunch of other ones as well.
Amazing. People have to come check it out for themselves.
All right.
Thanks for
Ryan.
doing this, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Amazing job.
Anytime.
Calgary's Mayor Jeromy Farkas is with us in studio now, and we're going to be getting to Mayor in just a quick second. Before we do, I want to let Real Talkers know that this episode, of course, happens with the support of amazing sponsors, and that includes the team at Kubi Energy. You can find them online anytime at kubi.ca. Integrated Renewable Solutions. This is where you can find more about solar power, carbon offsets, and utility solutions. Kubi is Alberta's, they are Western Canada's busiest solar installer. This is a true incredible success story. Kubi is 2 oil field electricians that saw an opportunity in sustainable energy and renewables 11 years ago, started up a company, and now they're employing hundreds of Western Canadians, installing across BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. You can get a free solar quote today by visiting kubi.ca. That's KUBY.ca. Well, it is a hell of a thing trying to get an interview with the mayor of Calgary on the first Monday of Stampede, after what is probably, I would imagine, one of the busiest weekends of your life. But really, really fantastic to welcome His Worship, the mayor of Calgary, Jeromy Farkas, to our pop-up studio here at the National Music Center. Thanks for making time for us.
Had you ever been in here before? It's gorgeous.
No, I had not until we did a site check.
Yeah.
Like a month ago, and I confessed this to Andrew when we first chatted, that I had seen the Studio Bell at the National Music Center from the exterior many times. As a matter of fact, here's a bit of a deep pull, a niche comment. I host for the Consulting Engineers of Alberta every year. I host their Showcase Awards Gala. And a number of years ago, so these are, engineering awards, Studio Bell, the National Music Center, cleaned up at the CEA Showcase Awards. So I knew that there was like credibility and a ton of respect from architects and engineers, and I knew it was a special place. But I hadn't come in for more than a few minutes, and I certainly hadn't toured the building. And now that I have, and now that we're here, it's like, holy.
Well, welcome back home, and I think.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here. Your weekend's been bonkers, obviously. You've been all over the place. There's a million things to talk about.
I only get to use this once, but it is my first rodeo.
Yeah, at least it's your first rodeo. Yes. Very well done. But first Stampede as mayor. Like, what's that like for a guy?
Well, it on a bunch of levels. I remember as a kid growing up in East Calgary, walking down through Ogden, getting my spot at 4 a.m. on the parade day, like feeling like I was in the movies, and just, man, being on that horse in the middle of the parade, seeing the marshals there, the princesses, like, man, it was surreal. And 400,000 people shouting, screaming, cheering. And like, I think upwards of like 300 entries too. Like for me, the takeaway, it's like Stampede celebrates our Western roots, of course, but it's also about the story that we are of Calgary we are today, right? Growing, ambitious, diverse, and to be in the center of it, I don't know, it's a dream come true, man.
Well, you're quite right in that Stampede reflects the city in many different ways. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, how, there's kind of it's going to sound like just a big commercial for the Stampede, but it is what it is. I'm enthusiastic about it. But if you're, if you're a parent with really young kids, there's something for you. If you're a senior, there's something for you.
Something for everybody.
If you're 18 looking to party, there's something for you. If you like have legit cowboy boots, with legit dust on them, if you're in ag, if you're in rodeo, it's the destination. If you're like as city slicker as it gets, you're gonna love it and find out, like, it truly is a very unique festival. There's really nothing else like it in Canada, and there's probably not really anything else like it around the world.
Yeah, I think I'm the first mayor in 75 years that came from working on a ranch to the mayor's chair. It was, I didn't have to work in my boots at all.
Oh.
But I also get the good fortune, I'm now one of the board members of the Stampede board, and as a director, what I love seeing amongst the team is, what happens on the grounds is Stampede, but Caravan out in the community, all the different ethno-cultural associations, how they've taken the ball and run with it, that's Stampede too, right? No one person has ownership over the concept, and it's a celebration of our Western roots, but more so it's about Calgary, it's about Alberta, and it's about Canada. And man, I think you'd probably agree that Stampede has always been political, like small p political, but this year it really feels big P political. We have something like upwards of 50 Liberal members of Parliament who've descended here. I was at Corey Hogan's Stampede breakfast right before Mike Ellis, the deputy premiers, and what I saw, Matt, I've never seen so much participation. And it is the typical politician petting zoo, but it feels like this is a really heavy, serious moment in time for the Stampede.
Yes, and I think that we probably all know why, but why don't I ask you to further articulate? What do you think it is that's different? I don't want to make any assumption, Mayor, but what's different about this time around?
It must be noise bylaws and regulations. Everyone just wants Canada's premier event to succeed, so they're descending. But I'd say obviously it's the future of our country. Right? Like you have. It's the cliche is that the business does still get done. It just gets done in boots. And, for me as mayor, I use that opportunity to shoot my shot with the federal finance minister right after our first flip. I have the opportunity to advocate for Calgary's fair share of the investment from the rest of the province, Alberta's fair share from the rest of the country. But to be able to welcome friends, neighbors, visitors, families from across Canada, around the world here to Calgary, not every city has something like the Stampede, and there is no place in the world like Stampede over the next while. And for 10 days, we welcome the world. And what I love is that, there's something, as you mentioned, something in Stampede for everybody. And no matter where you came from, no matter who you love, no matter how you worship, you belong here, you're welcome here. Not every city has that level of claim to fame.
it was kind of a weird blip, a weird period of time, and we talked to you about this just a couple of weeks ago about that noise bylaw and the Cowboys tent, and by the way, I had to go see for myself what the noise levels were like, so I think I was there on Thursday night and Saturday night and Sunday night, just checking on the noise,
research,
just doing research so I could talk about it. I wanted to be able to talk about it with some authority, so I was there. But in all seriousness, it was probably a tough spot for you to be in. Because you've got, for people that aren't familiar with the story, you've got the Premier of Alberta and the leader of the official opposition, Pierre Poilievre, criticizing you and your city council for negotiations on this noise bylaw, and you're kind of forced to call out who you had described as a bad actor on our show. You called him a bad neighbor. Penny Lane Entertainment is an institution in Calgary, and Cowboys is an institution too. But it was number one, I think everybody was happy to see it resolved, probably including you. But it did. It started a conversation. It created a conversation about what Stampede is and what Stampede should be, and what Calgary's reputation should be, and the message that Calgary wants to send about investing in Calgary. Alisha Reynolds was on, the President CEO of Tourism Calgary, just before you, Mayor, about a half an hour ago, talking about that. What did you take away from that in the bigger picture of? Vegas has its thing. Nashville kind of has its thing. And I think you can mention Calgary in that same sentence. But it was an interesting conversation to see unfold publicly and privately.
It wasn't a hard situation for me because I don't answer to Pierre Poilievre. I don't answer to Danielle Smith. I answer to the Calgarians who voted for me, right? So we can strike the right balance. But it's interesting the question you asked, like, what is Stampede? What isn't Stampede? I don't think anybody gets to gatekeep, right? Like if you're the Ismaili Muslim association putting on, as you have for decades now, your Stampede breakfast, you are just as much Stampede as, say, the third generation rancher who's walking into the rodeo grounds, right? So you are just as much Stampede. So what I will say, though, is Stampede only succeeds if we have the goodwill of Calgarians to support it. And we talk a lot about Nashville. We talk about these other festivals like Coachella, Lollapalooza, and we landed on a good balance because even here in Calgary, we still run later. We still go harder than any other place in North America. And what I will say is I really respect the fact that Penny Lane sat down with me. I really appreciated the investments that they've been making, hundreds of thousands of dollars more this year compared to the previous year. New equipment, they've made adjustments. So, I think we landed in a good spot, and ultimately out of the negotiations, I got more than what I had originally asked for, is that we'll have the concerts ending at about midnight on every night, including the weekends. And this is how we continue to have that don't want to say social license, but the goodwill that's required for Calgarians, especially to say those nurses who are getting ready for a shift, families with young kids. We can strike a right balance. We can go hard, we can party hard, but we can also reflect that here in the downtown, public safety is one of our priorities.
Appreciate you taking the question. I know it's probably the last thing you want to talk about right now, but the last time we talked, there had not been resolution. I wanted to sort of tie that one up. Take me to this report, Scott Strasser in the Calgary Herald. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm showing it right now on my screen. The headline, the city of Calgary not permitted to campaign against Alberta separation, but councillors can. You say that you need to push back.
Yeah, for me, it's important that central to the lane of the mayor is economic development. It's opportunity. It's keeping taxes low. It's making sure that we have jobs in the city. So I've been speaking out very strongly against the economic damage that this whole separation debate has had. And I think here in Calgary, it's a great time to be putting on the greatest outdoor show on earth, because we're hosting the rest of the country here. And Calgarians are also seeing the benefit of being part of that nation from coast to coast to coast. But when it comes to me using my voice, I'm going to continue to push back against the narrative that we're better off on our own. I'm going to push back against the attack on treaty rights. I'm going to push forward on fixing our country, and I'm certainly going to be advocating to lift the restrictions that currently apply to municipalities, because ostensibly, if we can join the fight, we'll be supporting the Premier in what she states her position is formally as a provincial government. So, this must simply be an oversight. I don't think it's intentional that the Premier would want us to be prohibited from campaigning and supporting her on this question. And my hope is that oversight can be lifted, but regardless of whether the province deems me allowed to campaign, I'm going to a campaign, because what's right for Calgarians is to be part of the best city in the best province in the best country in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I share your conviction there. It's like every guest that's been on the show today has argued for Canada without explicitly arguing for Canada, right? We have the federal energy minister in here, Tim Hodgson, talking about it. Corey Hogan, the MP's in here talking about it. And then you get a different angle, like, Sharan Kaur is in from Ontario talking about oil development and the sort of the promise that is that this country can work, and that Alberta is a big part of that country working.
Yeah, if I can interrupt you on that, what I don't like seeing is the fact that we've been kind of making this transactional. Like I'm not a Canadian if I get a pipeline.
Totally.
Right. I'm not a Canadian if we have a conservative prime minister. I'm not a Canadian if transactionally. I am just Canadian. My parents, my father came here as a refugee. He came as an immigrant to Canada, to Alberta, to Calgary to make a great life. We need to fix the issues that we have, but I think the more we talk about quote unquote legitimate grievances, we manufacture those grievances. So again, to be clear, I think there are reasons that many people are feeling that the way they are about our relationship with the rest of the Confederation, but we can't over-legitimize or manufacture grievances that don't exist. So again, for me, I'm all about fixing this country. I'm all about addressing those issues, but we can't make it about the transactions. We can't make it about the government of the day, because policies will change, politicians will change, but our country needs to remain. That is what our amazingly brave women and men in uniform fought and died for. So again, we need to fix our country. We have issues, but we can't make the relationships about the transactions of the day.
Hell yeah, Mayor. Yeah, it's serious. I talked to the energy minister about the exact. I said, like, is there I can't remember how I exactly worded it, but there's people, and I've been chatting with people all weekend too, just like you have. And there's people that believe that this pipeline deal is happening, the data center announcement's happening, all this is happening because they made enough noise and threatened separation. There's other people that believe, and I would say rightly, that a deal being announced like this, and apparently there's more announcements to come this week. We're going to hear more saying that sort of a thing would hurt the separatist movement, because it shows that this can happen. But you're right, at its core,
look, your
love for Canada's
I'm wearing a leadership medallion from Treaty 7, and the treaty rights, what we signed, this is since time immemorial. These are lasting commitments. These are values, right? So to make it about the transactions of the day-to-day, are you getting what you want? I'm never going to get 100% of what I want. I think it's great for both the Premier and the Prime Minister right now, and I want to applaud both of their leadership, because when they say come to the table and have an agreement, they're probably pissing off some of the fringe in their respective bases. Probably there's a lot of the hardliners in the Liberal Party who don't like the Prime Minister working with the Premier.
Oh, for sure.
And there's certainly a lot of folks in the Premier circles who don't like her working with the Prime Minister, but they're both showing leadership. So, to be clear, I both support them. I support increasing energy access and all the rest. But, for me, being a Canadian is more foundational than that. It's not contingent on any specific transaction. But, we can fix our country, and I think I'm going to be urging Calgarians in the full platform that I've used. I've spoken at length in my previous appearance with you on, being a city that's welcoming to newcomers. 1 in 3 Calgarians not born in Canada. The fact that we are attracting the best people to solve the world's toughest problems right here in the city, this province, this country. We got to maintain that momentum, and especially as we're about to welcome our 2 millionth Calgarian. It's an exciting time to be here, and I'm just hoping that some of the out-of-town politicians who sprang into action on, say, the noise bylaw, do the data breach next, do healthcare next, do education. Show me the gusto of solving problems, and I'll be there to support you too.
Yeah, I love that. By the way, Ruth is watching us live on our live chat here, powered by Park Power. Says, hang on a second, ranch hand mayor. And Ambustion goes, wait a second, what? Farkas has dirt road cred? Dirt street cred? Really?
I was the CEO of the Glenbow Ranch Park Foundation, which is about a 3,000-acre property between Calgary and Cochrane. We had several head of cattle, but I would not say that I'm personally a rancher. Okay. I was the CEO at a ranch, which is a different thing. I'm not going to disrespect the. I'm a rough around the edges guy who grew up in East Calgary, Forest Lawn, Dover. I'm the last thing from a cowboy, but let's say I arrived to the job with my cowboy boots broken in.
Me and my buddy were having a debate this week on whether or not we're past whether or not the window is closed for us to be outriders as part of a chuck wagon outfit, and whether or not we could do it. I said, well, I would love to see you try. I think everybody here gathered here would love to see you try. One conversation that you had this weekend that surprised you or that was noteworthy, maybe one you didn't expect. Is there one that jumps out?
Oh boy, I am drinking out of the fire hose.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I knew busy until I became the mayor, and it's go, go, go. But I would say it's just it's the goodwill that exists. Like, when I see the kids, especially, their faces light up when I'm flipping pancakes, and I'm out there. What I think about the Stampede is it kind of flips those leadership dynamics. You actually have the servant leadership that is so critical in so many different roles. You have your politicians actually cooking food for you, right? And actually serving food to you. And I think that that's something we got to try to keep alive the rest of the year. We can't just forget about it. It's not there for the photo op, but I'd say I really enjoyed spending some time with the premier at First Flip. Got a few. I'm collecting the tips. Not every griddle is uniform. So Rick McIver, who's our speaker here in Alberta, and he serves on the caravan committee. I think he's the only elected official who is like a full-time Stampede volunteer as well. So what he'll probably tell you is not every griddle is uniform. When you put down the pancake batter, it doesn't cook in the order that you put it down. So put down a few test splotches first.
Yeah.
So that usually it's the inside that's the hottest. So that
you got to look for the bubbles.
So my answer to your question is probably the funniest conversation I've had is just like the science that's involved in the pancakes. I thought it was an art, but it's actually science.
That's not where I thought you were going to go with that. Have you branched out into the real players, like the real heavy hitters on the griddle? They'll do the bacon and then they'll get the dough on top of the bacon. Like, bacon's got to be cooked. You can't do it when the bacon's flaccid and raw. It's disgusting. It doesn't work. But if the bacon's cooked, you drop a little batter on top of it, and then you embed bacon into the pancakes, and it is a next level flex. And you can steal that one if you'd like. You know.
So how Canadian is this? Because anybody who is just like tuning into your show, be like, no, this is serious politics stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, no, if you screw up your first flip, oh my gosh, I don't know if Justin could ever live down. That I will say that our
was it Pierre Poilievre ripped Trudeau for his pancake flipping and it was very effective.
But I will say Francois Philippe Champagne, our federal finance minister, man, he came practice. He was a pro.
Okay, well, here, Big Jim, for example, is chiming in now, says egg whites apparently are the real key to successful pancakes. Others of you are talking, and meantime, your team here behind the scenes is like, we literally have to get him to probably another pancake breakfast or some sort of other appearance. So I got to let you go. But I do want to say thank you for not just, of course, appearing on the show today. We needed you on the first episode.
Are you here all week?
Kind of cut the ribbon. We're here all week.
You're here all week.
Monday through Friday through till the 10th.
Yeah, maybe we can make it happen to come back.
Well, yeah. Well, Premier's going to be on the 10th. That could be an interesting one as well, and then lots in between. And we're ear to the ground. Everyone keeps. Are you getting the same thing? Are you on the inside? Do you know what these other announcements are that are coming? No one's going to tell me these announcements.
I think that today's. I don't want to scoop anybody, but
please
do. I believe it has to do with internal capacity for domestic fuel. And whatnot. So it might be some refinery news.
Okay. Yeah. Might be some refinery news.
Yeah.
You heard it here first on Real Talk with His Worship, Calgary Mayor Jeromy Farkas. Thanks for doing this, Mayor.
And I only make Nat and she called me that.
And yeah, that's right.
Happy Stampede, buddy.
Happy Stampede. Good to see you. That's Calgary's Mayor Jeromy Farkas here joining us on Real Talk. Always want to know what you think about what you're hearing here. Talk@ryanjesperson.com is where you can send us an email. Most of you are going to watch or hear this later after we've been live at the National Music Center, but we invite you to leave a comment on our YouTube episodes. And if you're listening to the show on Spotify as well, we've got to check in with this show's technical director, John Hicks, Johnny Infamous, in just a second. Before we do, I know we're down here in Calgary, but let me tell you, if you're watching this from anywhere across the country, or beyond, and your travels are going to take you through Edmonton International Airport anytime soon, I want to make sure that you're getting rewarded for that. YEG Plus is Canada's first airport rewards program. It's Super easy to sign up. You go to yegplus.com/realtalk. It's going to take you about 15 seconds. And then for every dollar you spend at the airport, you're going to earn a point. For every point you earn, well, then you unlock perks like partner discounts, even free parking. You can redeem for gift cards, exclusive offers, and more. So the next time that you're at YEG at Edmonton International Airport, make sure you're getting rewarded. Sign up today at yegplus.com/realtalk. And for those of you that are considering your family's philanthropy goals, you're evaluating and deciding on your charitable giving through the year, we are appealing to you. We're asking you to help us get support. Keep support, we would say, but unfortunately a critical funding gap has put the Relentless program at UCAN Youth Services in a really tough spot. These are vulnerable youth at risk, age 12 to 17, young kids really that are experiencing housing insecurity, food insecurity. A lot of them are being recruited into gangs. They've experienced human trafficking. This is heartbreaking stuff, but the team at UCAN is doing amazing work through that Relentless program, and they need our support. If you feel compelled to learn more about it or to make a donation, you can check out UCAN Youth Services today online at ucan.ca. Behind every crisis is still a kid. We invite you to support Relentless at ucan.ca. Well, this episode, this road trip, this journey would not have been possible without the incredible work of a very valued team member here, and that is the show's technical director, John Hicks, a.k.a. Johnny Infamous.
Yeah.
One of Alberta's most well-known
Stop.
DJs.
Stop it.
But you've been able for the past few days here in Calgary just to take it all in.
I have.
Where's your head at and how are you feeling?
You know what I've learned? I need an extra set of all my limbs and internal organs and Can you hear my voice right now?
I can hear your voice. Yeah. It sounds like a guy who's been making the most of his opportunity.
This is a guy who underestimated the city of Calgary, underestimated the Stampede, underestimated the energy of the Cowboys tent, the Wild Horse tent, the Stampede grounds. It's all been Badlands, which is like right across the street from where we're actually staying right now. But yeah, by night 2, I was like, oh, this is no joke. You really need green tea, you need the iron supplements, you need the energy drinks. But it's been absolutely incredible. And, all this stuff, you always hear the negative stuff, right? Especially there's animosity between Edmonton and Calgary, right? So you have Calgary saying Edmonton, Calgary's better than Edmonton. Then you have Edmonton saying, the Stampede, there's like people vomiting and urinating everywhere and fights. I have not seen one fight yet. I have not seen people vomiting everywhere.
Are you a little disappointed, actually?
I like how you cut me off before I mentioned the public urination because I think, like it's not like on the street, but man, there's thousands of people walking around. Like sometimes you go down an alley or
sure.
Bushy,
it's a city of 2 million people. What do you expect?
You go into an area with trees and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Join the club. But just everyone's been so kind, so nice. We talked about this last night. We were watching Jason Derulo in 5 Seconds of Summer. We were looking out at the crowd, and I didn't see any negative energy whatsoever in the 3 nights that we've been here. It's absolutely everybody coming together. We did laugh a bit about the classic. I think it's a $20 starter cowboy hat.
Yes,
that everybody from around 18 to 24 seems to be wearing. It's got the little string on the side.
Sure, you can buy it on the grounds. You can buy it on the concourse. I will say that our live tuning audience right now is demanding to know where your hat is. I'm all cowboyed up, and they want to know where's your hat. So
I'm trying to be professional.
We might have to get you one.
Yeah. We'll cosplay it up for one of these weeks, but. I just want to thank the National Music Centre again. It was amazing having their CEO on today.
Yeah, Andrew's like a pretty passionate guy. He like a huge
absolutely
believer.
Incredible.
He's a really big believer in what they're doing, and it comes through when you talk to him.
This building is something to marvel at when you're walking through it. Even though there's little things on the wall. Yesterday we saw like what is that? A piece of wood or a piece of from like the original.
Yeah, so it's when they were I don't want to say tearing down the King Eddie, but when they were like dismantling it to restore it and rebuild it, they found as they were tearing down some of the walls or getting into some of the walls, they found a piece of wood that may have been attached to a joist. It looks like a small piece of baseboard, and it's handwritten in pencil the names of all of the people, like the general contractor and all the way down, that worked on building the original building.
Yeah.
I think it was dated 19.
It says in the year of 1901 or something.
1901 or something like that. I mean,
yeah.
it's just like even that. I'm like, I was going on this kind of like mind-blowing exercise of thinking, like, can you imagine if those guys, when they were signing their names on that piece of wood and putting it in the wall, could have known that when you were to fast forward like 125 years, that it would be on display in a new building that was built on the footprint of the one they built. It's like just the history here is wild.
And no less that they'd be talking about it on a podcast.
Right?
They'd
What
be
the
like-
hell is a podcast?
I was just going to say, that's exactly what they'd ask. But there's so much history in this building. It's absolutely gorgeous, the outside and inside. Like it's just a monument in the city. It's like a landmark. But just like you were talking, walking through the Nelly Furtado exhibit and like all the Canadian icons, the Dead Mouse head is here. It's like it's got something for everyone. It's absolutely incredible. The staff here are incredible. So all in all, if Edmontonians would like to know what Johnny Infamous, the lover of Edmonton, who's always waving the flag, thinks, yes, I am moving to Calgary.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Ambustion has just thrown $5 into our YouTube super chat,
thanks,
which I really appreciate. Now, typically, if you're a longtime tuner of the show, you know that typically we'll say that they've popped a beer into the beer fridge for Johnny, but Ambustion has specified very clearly that this is for your IV fund. It says we need to get Johnny back to 100%, which is true. We might need a full-time nurse to just have you on an IV drip 24/7. Ambustion says, welcome to Cowtown, buddy. It is very, very good to be here. That is for sure.
I wholly accept that. I would take. I think we should get an IV drip for the condo where we're staying.
It's not a bad idea.
We each lock in for an hour a night. And
our friend and huge talent, Carly Watson, is also on this road trip with us and working with us. Carly can even pop in, say what's up to Johnny. Look at that. There's Carly that's doing some good work with us. And no, we didn't even take the camera when
I was telling her to go to we have a million cameras. She's trying to get in my shot. Go over there.
We're so excited to have Carly here too. So you guys, the good news is it means that our social media presence is going to be way better this week than it typically is. And Carly looks like she's nodding her approval and support for an IV at the condo, which is good. How about this from Donna B, who says, Donna says, I just got to say, you guys, this show is awesome. Episode 1 of the Real Talk road trip in Calgary. Donna says she's going to come to Calgary specifically to check out the National Music Center. How cool is that? And Donna, you will not be disappointed. It's just a really amazing place.
Absolutely incredible.
Mariah is wondering, how are we going to survive this week? Mariah, we have no idea.
Mariah, I'm wondering the same thing. Because when I came here, I was like, I'll be good. Maybe by day 8, I'll need some sort of hydration. Maybe, go for a massage. Mariah. Day 2, I was like, this is gonna be.
Yeah,
this might be impossible.
This might be Thursday, and I know we're joking around and talking about all the partying, but I would just say you have put
it's not just a party. Walking everywhere.
An incredible amount of work to basically we brought our entire Edmonton studio down here. The team at the National Music Center has done an incredible job helping us with the transition, but setting up a studio again is no small feat. And then if you consider all of that work was being done while we were also appearing at very important mixers and parties.
Very important meetings.
Which I don't want to get ahead of myself and make announcements before we're confirmed. But I was able to cross paths with and interact with a few, VIPs that would be of interest to this audience at some of the parties this weekend, and we're firming up their appearances on the show this week. So that's going to be awesome. We've got 4 more shows coming after this one. They're going to be jam-packed.
It's going to be absolutely incredible. I do have one question, though. I know that you were just talking about the economic impact. What was it, 700?
721 million, was it? That was economic impact for the province. So this is that Myers, this is MNP. 2025 study found that the Calgary Stampede generated $721 million in economic impact for Alberta. That was up 33%.
Wow.
From 2019. So a 33% jump over the 6 years. But get this, in 2025, also July, I don't think anyone will be surprised to hear that July marks the high point of Calgary's tourism season. That's obvious with the Stampede.
So what?
But get this. Visitor spending in July of 2025 in Calgary was $530 million, which is 40% higher than June and double May. So, I mean, it's a $500 million in economic activity in the city. It's wild.
Now, I'm wondering if we could bump that up another 10 million if people who live here without jobs related to Stampede would actually go to work. Because, like, it seems like everyone's on a 2-week holiday that I talk to. I'm like, oh, you going back to work Monday? They're like, no, I don't go back to, like, the 15th or something. I'm like, what?
Well, I mean, this is the thing, is, like, Stampede kind of is work.
It's
their job.
It literally is.
Yeah. Stampeding is a verb.
Yeah. Like you go into, I won't say the names, but you go into we just go to a random restaurant. You go into 7-Eleven, wherever. It's country music. Everyone's wearing a belt buckle. Everyone's wearing a hat. It's like everyone's buying in at the same time. But I'm just wondering, I mean, I love it. I love that they're taking this 2-week holiday. But there's a little bit of, there could be a $10 million more generation of income if we all went back to work. But like, everyone seems to just be in holiday mode around here, and I love it. It's very carefree. Even driving to the studio today, I was like, it's Monday morning, downtown Calgary. There's got to be traffic like Edmonton. No, we just zoomed right in.
Oh, yeah. No, it's great. Big Jim. Man, everybody's this I don't want to say you're hungover. That's not a polite thing to say. I think you've been enthusiastically using your voice, and the voice sounds a bit banged up.
They're worried about it.
So now people are a little bit worried about you. And so Ken K is shooting us $10 right now in the super chat to get you some Pedialyte. And then Big Jim has kicked in $5, but and Big Jim has a prescription for you. He says Johnny needs to apply a good Caesar to the affected areas. No. He says that's an instant recovery drink. So Jim's buying you a Caesar in the live chat. So thanks to Jim.
Yeah, it's not sickness or anything. It's just we've been yelling at each other and screaming at shows and singing along and all sorts of different things. But I'll be good. I'm gonna do some green tea. I did green tea this morning. I'm trying to nestle up the old vocal cords. But you're used to this. Like your vocal cords, you're constantly yelling. Yeah. So I think yours are just used to it. Mine aren't,
Yeah. I guess it's just I was born to Stampede, John. And so that's why the last 4 days have been what they have been.
If somebody asked me, all the things they thought Ryan Jesperson was good at, that'd definitely be near the top of the list.
Stampeding.
Oh, yeah, stampeding. Probably top 3.
Rallying. Yeah, like Jay Best says in our chat right now, it says if you're in any kind of sales, marketing, Stampede is absolutely high season for you. I would say as well in politics. It's just where stuff happens, which is why we're down here. So, yeah, Marie says her hubby worked in downtown Calgary during Stampede, says they would attend the pancake breakfast and the lunches, but they were also getting a little bit of work done here or there, which is also good. People are sharing, their suggestions for you, John, to help you survive this week. Bradley says, Johnny, you're developing that gravelly Stampede voice. Says, you got this, cowboy. He says, pace yourself. M8 just has a good piece of advice that when you do invest in a cowboy hat, don't buy the one with the whistle.
Oh.
Yeah, that's for the little gaffers.
Okay, there's one with a whistle?
Well, like the little kid ones.
Oh.
Don't buy the one with the whistle. All right? Kathy's inviting you to pace yourself. Everybody else, okay, guys, I can promise
it's hard to pace yourself.
No, you
can't
when
you're in, some.
Well, I mean, you can, but it's tough.
I've never seen so much, sharing is caring going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go to get a beer, and then you come back, and someone has 2 for you, and you go to get food, and like somebody goes and gets you a plate, or like we go out for dinner, and I go to the bathroom. There's a lot of camaraderie going on here.
Well, and
maybe I'm just in the best circles, but it seems to be that way.
You're rolling in good circles, and I think we've also been blessed to run into a lot of real talkers out in the wild this week. And we do want to remind you that we do invite you to come up and say hi. Johnny just loves it when you come up and say hi when you see him in the wild. Just loves it. But in all seriousness, it's been awesome to connect with so many people down here. It is my hometown. I'm very proud to be from Calgary. I love Calgary. I'm very proud to live in Edmonton, and I'm happily raising a family in Edmonton, but Calgary always is a very special place for me, and it means a lot for us to be down here doing these shows here. So
you can't lie. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, married woman to one of our good friends, and she's like, I love Edmonton so much, but she's like, Calgary is so nice, isn't it? And I was like, yes, it is, but I'm not going to say that on the show. But I just did, because like
you just did.
We want to be out there.
You want to name her
like,
now so we can really.
I love Alberta in general. I think it's a beautiful province. I think Edmonton is great, but like you can't come to Calgary and not realize how beautiful it is. The mountains in the distance.
Yeah.
Great weather we've had this weekend and the first weekend of Stampede, and just the whole event. It really is the greatest outdoor show on earth.
Truly. And how about this? We got Mayor Farkas. Now he's done his interview on the show, and now he's in the live chat commenting.
What's the topic today?
He says in all caps, Stampede is work.
It's
different though when you're the mayor of Calgary, man. Like and his team deserves credit. Like behind the scenes, there's obviously a lot that goes into putting shows like this together and coordinating schedules and our asks that we're in. I mean, I think people would be interested to know some of the other people that we've asked for this week. We've asked for Pierre Poilievre. His team has been in touch, letting us know it doesn't look like it's going to work out, which is too bad. I know he's in Calgary right now. It would be great to have Pierre Poilievre on this week.
Come on by.
Mark Carney is coming to Stampede, but he's not here the week that we're here. Carney's going to be at Stampede a little bit later on in week 2, so we won't have him, but we invited Jason Kenney. I thought that would have been great to have on.
Oh, reunion.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just thought, what a place to do it, right? So bury the hatchet, have a good conversation about saving Canada. So that's our pitch to former Premier Kenney. So a lot to ask her out. When you put a show like this together, it takes a lot of time, and so we were grateful that Mayor Farkas and Premier Smith were able to confirm with us early that they're going to be on. So if you missed it, if you're just joining our stream right now, Mayor Farkas with us about 20 minutes ago, and Alberta Premier Daniel Smith will be in here at the National Music Centre in studio with us on Friday the 10th of July, which will be our final episode from Calgary.
I liked what he said there. What did he say about the fire hose?
Drinking from a fire hose.
That is exactly
but his
what
schedule,
it's like,
like the mayor of Calgary first weekend and then the first week of Stampede is bonkers.
Yeah.
And the difference too is that I will say this, like we've been to a lot of events. I think I would just say I've probably been to at least 20 Stampede parties, gatherings, mixers over the first 4 days that we've been here. And it's important to put that time in and in our line of work, when we're able to, when the Real Talk rumor mill generates something and we can share something with you or we've heard or we get the interview first, that all happens obviously with a lot of work behind the scenes and all those connections being made. But I will say this, there's a very distinct and important difference between the work that say I'm doing down here and you're doing and what Mayor Farkas is doing. And that is that we are media degenerates. And so people expect us to be a little bit tipsy midday. It's not a big deal. If we're having a little fun, making a little bit of noise, we are media degenerates. We host a talk show. What do you expect us to? Obviously, you cannot roll like that when you're the mayor of Calgary or the premier of the province. So when they're attending all these events, and I bet you he's going to 15 events today. I'm not even joking. I bet you he is. He's not like crushing beers at them like we are, Johnny. He's not having people walk up, he got one and they got 2 more, and then the next thing you know, Farkas is triple fisting. His Stampede is very different than ours. That's for sure. Yeah.
It's
and he probably looked a little bit better than us this morning too.
You know what the funny thing is I think look at these bags under my eyes, Real Talkers, but I think I look bad, and then I go out like the next day or the next evening, and everyone kind of looks like they've only got the 4 hours sleep, right? But you're right. The important people, you can tell they're focused, because this really it's a job. It's a work. It's work for 2 weeks. And the right connections can land you deals and connections that can last, for the lifetime or the better part of your career, right?
Yeah.
And we were out there last night, and you're totally right. It was the first night where you looked at me and you said, you know what? It's 12:30. Let's go home. And I was like,
wow.
I agree.
I agree. And we did. And here we are. And you know what? That feels like a perfect time to wrap, because We got to get back at it. Friends, as we do say goodbye for now, but not for long, from the National Music Centre in downtown Calgary. I want to thank you for being a part of this. This is our first ever episode, our first ever Real Talk road trip. We got 4 more to come. Coming up on the next episode of the show, strategist Zane Velji and Stephen Carter join us in studio, as does Cor Blunt. He's going to bring us up to speed, let us know what's going on with the coal petition, the referendum, and he's going to play a tune live right here on Real Talk. We hope you'll join us.
Real Talk is hosted by Ryan Jesperson, executive producer Josh Dunford, technical producer John Hicks, general manager Katie Cook-Chivers, account coordinator Lawrence Derlego, human resources Lena Shepard, website design Mike Johnston, voiceover by me, Carrie Skelton, member emerita Julie Rohr. Real Talk is a relay project. For more, check out ryanjesperson.com.